Super excited to announce the Law Firm Retreat Design Your Future being held this August 5th through 8th, 2026 in the Denver, Colorado area. Teaming up with law firm architects, Power Strategy Group, we're going to be having an amazing opportunity for up to 15 firms to work on the business, not in the business. Find out more at powerstrategygroup.com. Welcome back, everyone. This is Ruby Powers, your host of Power Up Your Practice, and I'm excited to have Bryn Poland, the attorney. She's an attorney at Mayo and Poland, and we know we have mutual friends. We've hung out. She's here in the Houston area, but she's going to be here talking about time management and just how to focus on maximizing our time. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Bryn. So glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ruby. I'm happy to be here. I will just tell you a little bit about my law practice. I'm a partner at a very small boutique elder law firm, and I became an elder law attorney because my great-grandmother lived to be 109.
Wow.
And she kind of was at the last decade of her life. I was really in my formative, high school and college years, and watching my family struggle with all of this. And I wasn't really sure what the solution was at that time. But after she passed away, I decided, I don't know who could have solved this problem for my family and for her, but I'm going to figure out what that is. And that's what I want to do with my life. And turns out that's an elder law attorney. So that's how I became an attorney, and specifically an elder law attorney.
And I really appreciate your expertise in this space because we were needing one for my father. And if this was hard for an attorney to figure out, then what is it for a non-attorney to figure out that was a subspecialty or like a whole nother thing besides estate planning and probate? And I don't know. And then we were dealing with different states. And it was just it was wild because we ended up talking to 6 to 10 or 12 attorneys between the two states. And we finally figured out what we needed, but it was really hard. And there's an organization, right, of elder, what's it called?
There's a National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, which I highly recommend if anyone is trying to, add this to their practice area. It's not really an area that you can dabble in, really. And I know this is not what we're talking about today, really, but
yeah.
I highly recommend joining NALA and getting plugged in there, because that's really the best way to learn about all these rules.
And maybe the person's not wanting to go into it, but they don't know, when do they need an elder law attorney? What are some of the areas that the practice words, concepts, problems, when would you say that's probably an elder law issue for someone?
Yeah, elder law it can be pretty broad. There are people who call themselves elder law attorneys, and they do, maybe skilled nursing home litigation or something like that. So
okay,
that could be an elder law attorney. I really think of elder law as a niche practice within estate planning, where we're helping people try to qualify for public benefits who need skilled nursing care. So we're talking about Medicare and Medicaid. Those are kind of, words that we use every day. And, if you have an issue that's a skilled nursing issue or a Medicare issue or a Medicaid issue, long-term care, that kind of stuff, that's really, it's time to look up a NALA attorney and get in touch.
And a little overlap to my practice area in immigration, I think that we have a huge shortage in the legal and in the labor market for these skilled nurses and then the caretakers. And I see that a lot of times there's no short-term visa for that. I really think that's a room for reform. Sorry, I don't normally get political, or if you call that political, but I think that's a huge need, especially with the baby boomers aging and having seen what I went through, my grandmas and my dad and my mom and everything. But we need more, I'm just thinking about the overlap between our practice areas, but there definitely is a need for that, to encourage more of the labor in that space, because we have a huge shortage. That's just my opinion. But.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I was at a conference a week ago where we spent a lot of time as elder law attorneys and special needs trust attorneys talking about essentially this caregiving cliff that all of our clients are facing. There are some public benefits that are what we call client-directed services, where you can have Medicaid dollars to pay for care at home, but there is
Mhm.
literally no labor market to hire people, and it's going to be a huge issue. It already is an issue. It's only going to become more of an issue. And so, Ruby, I think that's right. This is a good opportunity for us to our areas of practice to
Yeah.
collaborate and lobby to get some rules changed so that we could address this problem for our clients.
Yeah, well, it's definitely collab offline because this is huge, and I mean even like the night my dad like died, like we had to pay an extra hospice care because we were afraid that they weren't going to have enough nurses at night. And thank the Lord, my sister and I were there when he passed away, and the extra help and a nurse. But like the nurse was covering like 15, 20 people. So
Yeah.
like that, she wasn't available. But anyway, well, there's a lot of need there, so we'll have to talk more. But anyway, we're busy people. We've got law firms, we've got families, we got lives going on. So tell us your secret sauce. How do we stay organized? Let's where do we go? What made you go all in on calendar-based productivity? And tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, I will tell you the reason I am a calendar fanatic. There's really nothing in my law firm that I'm more crazy about. Maybe ribbed paper clips. I have like a weird obsession about those, but nothing else in my law practice is more important to me or more dear to my heart than my calendar. And that really is because my old quote unquote system, which was post-it notes and a million to-do lists, was not working for me. I was burnt out. I was stressed out all the time. And so I went looking for a solution probably 10 years ago, and, everywhere I could look. And what I found out is that really a to-do list is like a Santa's list for adults. It's a wish list, right? And the wish list can grow, but the hours in the day don't grow. And so figuring out how to merge my Santa's wish list with my actual time in the day has changed my life, really. So I'm happy to
Well,
jump in and talk about it.
yeah, let's talk about it because I agree with you. Like, I mean, I don't want to embarrass myself, but I have like this going like 5 to 6 page like mega to-do list that I occasionally jot things on. It's typed, but I jot it and I always keep it around me. But it's sort of like my guiding like reminder of all my projects I'm trying to stay on point. But like, yeah, we have other project management tools. We have this and that. And because I'm working with different people for different projects and different committees. But anyway, like what was your breaking point with to-do list, and like just go ahead and just dive right in. How'd you figure out how to crack the code on this?
Yeah, well, I think my breaking point really happened for me when I became a parent, and my personal admin tasks were rivaling my professional ones. I was pretty good up until that point in my career of managing my professional to-do list, and my personal to-do list was not really that long. But as soon as you add more people to your, management, whether that's staff or kids or, pets or whatever, it can really just, I don't know, get to a point where the list is so long and the whole thing seems overwhelming. And so that was really my breaking point when I just realized that my personal tasks were growing at a rate that my to-do list was not keeping up with, really. Um, and so, yeah, so I use my calendar and I put that stuff on there. I still think there is a place for management software and management tools, but I'm using my calendar for my own personal deliverables, right? So we might
Mm-hmm.
use management software for all the collaborative stuff, but when I leave a meeting and I'm coming back with these are Bryn's deliverables, that's immediately going on my calendar.
Okay, well, I mean, when you say you use your calendar, what do you mean by that? Like, how do you use it differently than most people use it, or like, give us an example?
I think I think the only difference is that I put everything on my calendar. I put like when I'm in a shower, like it's weird, but I am getting to the place where I am accounting for every day so that I know I've got time for stuff. I used to just say, well, I'll do that before I go to work. Well, before I go to work, I also need to shower. I need to get my kids out, out of the door and fed and all of those things. And then I didn't have time before work to get to those tasks that I was going to do before work. And now I might do them after work, but after work, I'm tired. My brain doesn't work. And so I'm taking these things that are on my to-do list that I know I need to do at a certain time, and I'm just putting them on my calendar at whatever hour. And then I just look at my calendar and I do whatever my calendar tells me to do. And it kind of separates the emotional decision making from my to-do list when I'm stressed and tired and I know I need to work on this 2-hour project, but I don't have the bandwidth to do it. So I'm going to push that one until tomorrow. Well, instead of pushing it to tomorrow, I'm going to schedule it for first thing in the morning when I know my brain is going to be fresh. I'll just get it done. And it's that way, it's not just carried over and carried over.
So it's a combination of knowing when your strengths are, your energy levels, but then also blocking things so that you and assigning that time slot so that you don't have to even spend your energy thinking like you have a few minutes, what am I supposed to do? Like that happens to me sometimes where I'm like, I have to consume limited energy just to triage what should I be doing at this moment. Like sometimes I tell my assistants, like, what should I be doing right now? Because I have like 10 minutes before the next call. Like it's a miracle. And I agree. Like I even have them put like on my flights. I tell them to put what I need to review, and I'll print stuff just because if the internet doesn't work, because I want to waste that time, and that sometimes can be such unfettered like focused time anyway. And then I do find limitations. Sometimes I will optimistically say I'm going to record a TikTok at 8 o'clock. I'm like I'm starting to start dwindling a little bit, but sometimes I might pull it off. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, but so you basically do you still have to-do lists, or you just like put it on the calendar so that like there is no
Yeah,
to-do list?
I don't have
Yeah.
a to-do list. I don't have a to-do list at all. No, not a single one. I don't have a sticky note. I don't have, when it hits my brain and I think, oh, I should do that, instead of writing it on a to-do list, I just go to my calendar and find a time to do that thing. So
But what if you have to like that time is inconvenient? Like I don't know, something happens and you just squish it around somewhere else, or
yeah, I just squish it around.
yeah,
My calendar is not static. It doesn't, it's
yeah.
flexible. But if I'm stuck in traffic and I miss an appointment, or I miss a, whatever I was gonna make an outline for Ruby's podcast and I miss it because of I'm stuck in traffic. Well, now all I have to do is just take that little calendar appointment. I use Google, but this works on, any electronic calendar, and I'm just dragging it to the next open spot where it works, right? And so there's flexibility in it. But the thing that I like is one thing you said, Ruby, is you have 10 minutes and you're asking your assistants what should you be doing. I would say that 10 minutes is probably, if everything else is calendared, that 10 minutes can be your break time. Like you should
Yeah, it's true.
you should look at your phone, or you should, watch a funny cat video or whatever. And you don't have to be stressed about, oh, I have 10 minutes. What should I be doing? Because everything else that is on your to-do list is already calendared. And so it provides like a little bit of margin and breathing room,
That's true. And they have put more breaks in my day because I'm like, you guys, I'm just like a robot, like a
Yeah.
little, puppet, like like I am a human. Like
Right. And
I need to breathe.
and I
Yeah.
guess I don't want anybody to think that I'm like, that's how I'm using my calendar to like micro every single second. But I think the reason I'm so passionate about this is because since I started using my calendar like this, it's really made me much more boundaried as a person, because I can see what I have in available in time and what I don't have available in time. And so it's much easier for me to say, no, I can't commit to that, or I can't take that appointment, or I can't go to this conference, because I can already see that my calendar is overbooked and I need time to sleep and see my family and do all that other stuff. So it's actually
Yeah.
provided me much more margin in my life since I've started using my calendar than before.
I think I don't know if I could subscribe to your, I could probably do a little bit, but like I think there's some stuff like I'm delegating a lot, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm just like, I just need to make like some of the to-do list is for me to remind me that I gave this project to somebody else and I'm checking in with them. And so I'm just sort of like big picture, but I think that has gotten a little overwhelming. Like I think I probably need to lean into Notion or something, which my team does use. My non-legal team uses it a lot, but yeah, I think finding, and then when you're like, I still have a little affinity towards paper, like you're trying to find some electronic slash, when you're like in this one foot in both generations type of thing, and you're trying, or you're on a plane without internet and you're trying to like just sort of think through things. But I like a lot of what you're saying about like allocating time for it. What you were saying something about a rollover effect and how it creates stress. What is the rollover effect?
Well, when I was relying on a to-do list, I would have like, you know, one or two scary things on my to-do list that I know are going to take a lot of time or take a lot of brain power or something that it's new and is just scary to me. And then I probably have five or six like very easy things. And I found myself just doing the really easy stuff. And the scary thing would just go to tomorrow's to-do list and then the next day's to-do list. And then I'm coming up on the deadline for whatever scary thing. It's a brief or a speech or whatever it is. And now I'm panicking all week because I don't know how much time the scary thing is going to take and it's due. And now I'm super stressed. And so that's the rollover effect. When we use emotions and how we're feeling to make decisions about our day and our to-do list, it's really easy to just push the hard stuff or the really big stuff to tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. And if you use your calendar, you know when you're best and freshest, and you can put that block on your time. And then the scary thing is like, well, it's still maybe scary, but you've taken the emotional decision making out of it, and it's just like it's happening now. It's time to do it, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like that whole concept of eat the frog, like do the thing that you don't want to do first so that way if you do it at the end of the day, then you're just stressed out about it and wasted so much energy versus just doing it, ripping off the band-aid and doing it at the beginning of the day. Yeah, I wrote a whole chapter about time management, but I also put like energy in it in the Power Up Your Practice book. And there's so many great practices from the time, batching the activities to time blocking to having themes for different days. Like we do Monday, Wednesday, Thursday for consoles. Tuesdays are like internal days and my Power Strategy group days. And Fridays are like catch up, but I don't want to do anything after like 4, just realistically, because I'm on fumes and I'm trying to just wrap up. When I go on a conference, I usually try not to do anything of substance when I come back in the morning because I know that I'm part catching up, part still have high in the sky, ideas that I want to impart to my team before I get down to the nitty gritty. Or like even if you come back from vacation, just giving yourself some grace to transition back into, normal day life. But
you're already doing it. This is the stuff. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. But I would just say, like what really, I guess, helped me take it a step farther is that on your theme days or the day after you come back from vacation or a conference, I'm blocking that just like you, and I'm also naming what it is specifically, what tasks are going to get done, and I'm going to put the frog, the scary stuff at the top of the morning when I know I'm freshest, and the easy stuff goes at 4:00 when I don't have any brain power left.
Yeah. And I think that's so true. Like the whole if you don't train yourself and you don't think about it, you're going to want to go do the easy stuff first. It's like the whole analogy of like having the jar and then putting the sand and the water in first before you put the big rocks, the whole rocks analogy. But the eating the frog or doing the hard thing or having that concentrated time and whatever that thing is, putting the big rocks and working on the goals. And I think you're so right. Like, and we're living in this like dopamine world. I'm reading this book called Dopamine Kids because I'm trying to make sure my kids don't get screwed up with all of the technology and stuff, but like that. But I mean, we're all screwed up because we're any second we go to our freaking phones, you know? And so like that's the water in the sand in the rocks analogy. That's the stuff that and it just fills up the whole day if you let it. And I think you're so right. Like Peter Drucker, there's like one of his management books he talked about with this executive, like, you should do an audit of your time. And the guy goes, well, actually, it's sort of funny I'm mentioning this story because the executive in the story says, well, look at my calendar and you'll see what I do. But actually, he wasn't like you. You actually write everything down. But this executive, and in the story, Peter Drucker's like, no, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that happens that you're doing with or not doing with your time that's not being indicated by your calendar. And that's why another one I do is tell people to do a time audit, an energy audit to see where things are going.
So this is exactly that, right? This is the energy audit. This is the time audit in calendar format. For me, the calendar forces prioritization. If it's on my calendar, if that means I've named it, I have an intention to do it, I'm going to get it done at that time. And if I have to move it around, I certainly can. But now I can visually see what my day looks like. And it's also given me room to think about what I want my day to look like.
Right, right.
Do I work better with a slower morning and I want to work a little later at night? I mean, all of those things become more apparent when you use your calendar and you can visually see where your calendar aligns with your moods and your energy and where it doesn't.
And I think they say that what you should ideally do is before you close up from work, if that's the case, or maybe before you go to bed, whatever, what you should write out what your goals are for the next day, like when you have that clarity, so that you don't have to waste that energy in the morning or the next day when you get into work to go back to what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Like even with some of my team members, I ask them like, what are your top 3 priorities for the day? And that's more of like to sort of help guide us and sort of ground us in terms of like, what are our priorities? But then, things can change, but then it also helps us try to stay the course.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful to evaluate if you already have your intentions and your calendar set for the day. When someone calls with their own emergency, it really helps you evaluate, is this my emergency that I need to deal with right now? Or is this very important to this person who's on the phone, but I have these other things that need to take priority today, and that can be a tomorrow. I can help them, but I need to help them tomorrow. Or, just it really is a decision-making tool to me that I think really helps me set some boundaries about what I'm going to accomplish and what I'm not going to accomplish.
Um, so I see that who else can put stuff on your calendar, or like, do you have like rules about who can place things on your calendar for you to do?
Yeah, we have a staff of I think 4 people, and everybody has access to my calendar. Everybody in my office can add stuff to my calendar, and so I'm a pretty open book about that. But that's why it's really important for me to make sure that I've got all my time, my protected time on there, because other people do have access to my calendar to put stuff, and I don't want their access to my calendar to be overwhelming to me.
So I see you say something about putting your kids' activities on your work calendar and don't mark them as private. Is that how you approach it, or like what's your philosophy on that?
Yeah, I would say that that's something I consider to be like a little bit of a micro feminism. I understand that not everybody can do that, but I really feel like me modeling that tells my staff that I'm a full person. It helps everybody understand that, if I'm leaving early, it's maybe because I'm getting a pedicure, but it also could be because I'm starting my second shift as a parent. And I really think it's important, if we have the ability to show up and be our full selves in our practices, that it's important for the next generation to see that and witness that, and hopefully men and women feel inclined to live their lives that way and build their practices that way, because I think it'll make the world a lot better. So I
I
don't make
love
my stuff.
that.
I don't make my stuff private.
I don't either. But I didn't really look at it from such a I was making a stance on humanity and I'm moving the needle forward for humanity or women or whatever. But I looked at it more like a practical sense. Like I didn't know when I'm supposed to go where, what, and who, what. My husband was recently in Australia for 3 weeks, so I was solo parenting. Dear goodness. I was freaking driving like 4 hours a day sometimes because between viola, tennis for one kid, and lacrosse and volleyball, the other kid, I swear, and so we were eating and living out of the car. Lots of chargers need to be charged, and I had to keep that car clean. But anyway,
Yeah.
but what I'm getting at is that's how we stay organized. We send calendar invites to each other, even with our carpool buddies. And, so my team sees that's what I'm happening. I try not to have work calls when I'm doing carpool, but sometimes it happens, but I'm trying to create a little more sacrosanct. But no, I agree with you, because then that also helps you keep your priorities and they know that you're not available. And I'll include if I have a work event at night on a weekday, I'll include my husband so he knows that's where I'm going, I have a networking event or something like that, or my conferences when I'm landing and when I'm, my trips.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I agree totally, and I do say that the most romantic thing my spouse can do for me is send me a calendar request. I love a good calendar.
I know when my husband took over the calendar invites for the carpooling every week, I was like, oh my gosh, the mental load that was lifted, it was amazing. I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I see something in here about the 15th of the month rule. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so my birthday happens to fall on the 15th of a month.
Okay.
And so I used to spend my birthday as the day when I would schedule all my, appointments that need to happen once a year that I couldn't fit in anywhere else. I would take my birthday off. I would do all the doctor's appointments. I would do the dentist appointment. I would do all that stuff. And then I got to the point where that made my birthday not very much fun. And so what I started doing is taking the 15th, which is the day of my birth, but blocking that day every month. When it's on a weekday, I block myself out that day. That doesn't mean that I take those days off, but that ends up being somewhere between, 8 or 10 extra days a year where no one else is booking appointments for me. So if I need to schedule a dentist appointment or, make a hair appointment or get my kids in, I know that I can go to the 15th of a month and I will have time in my calendar to do it. And also, if I don't do that, I might schedule, a brunch with one of my girlfriends, or I might take a long lunch that day and visit with one of my siblings on the phone or something. And so I'm not taking those days off every single month, but it's just providing a little bit of margin in my year so that I have a little bit of room for, maybe some fun things that happen, and also some time to schedule those things that are not so fun that just still need to, personal admin stuff that need to happen, get the oil changed in the car, those kinds of things.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's so funny that you do that, because I love that idea. My birthday's on the 16th of the month, so maybe I could just mimic you. But I did that too. I put my dermatologist on around my birthday, but then anyway, it got a little messed up because of insurance with one of my kids, and I don't know where it is now, but you're right. I think people do that. They do the mammogram or they do the whatever, trying to remind themselves to do that thing. But then you're like, well, that's not so much fun to do that on my birthday, around my birthday. We should be having birthday parties and stuff like that. I love that. And I mean, being purposeful about the self-care or the mental and then the maintenance. And that was the other thing I put in that chapter about the Eisenhower time matrix, about the quadrant 2 and the important, not urgent, and just living in that space, because taking care of the car, taking care of yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything, on a regular basis. And that's why I tell people, like, when you go out, you go to your therapist, schedule the next therapist. When you go to the dentist, you schedule the next dentist. When you go to the hairdresser, you schedule the next hairdresser's appointment. So, keeping those on the books and being okay with that. And that's just the time for maintenance. And because if you don't do that, then we know with anything that you don't prepare for, it creates a bigger mess. So, how has this helped you be a better, like, in your practicing of day-to-day law?
Well, I think it's certainly made me happier. I
Okay.
feel more present at home and also at work because I'm not worried when I'm at home. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff that is on my to do list that needs to get done. I know I've got time blocked to do those things. And so when I'm at home, I can be at home. And when I'm at work, I'm not thinking about, oh, shoot, I need to schedule this appointment or I need to remember to buy a birthday present for so and so because it's on my calendar and I've got time to do those things. And so I can really focus in on work and be fully present. So it's really made me a happier attorney. I also think it's probably increased my productivity because I'm not doing the emotional decision making of what I need to do. I'm relying on my calendar to tell me what to do, and I think stuff gets done faster.
And so, like, if you start running out of time to do the thing, does that, like, is that an indication, like, you should stop doing so much? Or, like, how what is your sort of how did
Well, I
how
think
does
it
that
takes
how do
it
you
takes
gauge that?
just to break stuff down. But
Okay.
for instance, let's just say I have a CLE that I'm presenting on in 2 months, or the paper's due in 2 months, and I know I can use an old paper, but it needs to be refreshed, and it's got to have 3 more topics that I haven't researched and haven't written about. So of course, what we would all do is go to the due date on our calendar, the date that the paper is due, and we're going to put the paper's due this day. And maybe a couple weeks in advance, we put a reminder or something. But what I'm doing is I'm putting the due date on, and then I'm saying, well, the first thing that I need to do is I need to go find that old paper and read it and see what needs to be changed. So now I'm going to next week, and I'm putting that as a very small task on my to-do list. Find the old paper, read it, take a stab at updating it. Okay. And then the following week, I'm going to research, drag all the research that I need to write on issue 1. The next week I'll do issue 2, and the next week I'll do issue 3. And then so it's really just project management, but I'm using my calendar as the way to make sure that I'm moving the ball forward. So if I miss one, I haven't missed the whole project. I've missed one little piece of this puzzle that I can just easily move around to another day.
Yeah, I love that. And that sort of reminds me of, like, strategic coach, where, like, or even just the whole concept of, there's this expression, like, how do you eat an elephant? I don't really like that one, but it's like one bite at a time,
Yes.
and so, like, you have to break it down into small actionable steps. But even just, there is thought into how do you do that? Like, if you just put, like, I don't know, buy an investment property, like, well, shoot, you got to break that down, like, what are you looking for? How, why, when, how, what, smart goals and that type of thing. Like, because I was just telling you, like, we just bought a house today. And I'm waiting for the email that says it's official, because I have a contractor wanting to come check it out. But, like, I've literally been working on this for, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, and and now we're hitting the next step. But yeah, it is a lot, breaking down big projects and goals into smaller bite-sized pieces, and then building that into your calendar. And that's really, it's like what the journey of a thousand miles, starts with the first step. And that's how you make it doable.
Yeah, for me, that's where my to-do list was really failing me because I wasn't breaking down the big projects, right? So then the thing looks really scary.
Yeah.
But if I'm using my calendar, and I suppose you don't have to use your calendar to do this. If you're just better at breaking down the scary thing, then a to-do list might be perfectly fine. But I really like assigning time values to these smaller tasks because then it feels way less overwhelming. All I have to do right now in this 1 hour is, you know, if we're using your investment property, is research houses under my budget within these 4 zip codes. Like, that's really easy to do. And I can do that. And then, next week you'll review them or reach out to the realtor or do whatever the next step is, right? But it feels, that's where my to-do list was breaking down, because the big thing was on the to-do list, but not all the small steps. And then the big thing seemed too scary to do.
And by breaking them down into small steps, it really forces you to get organized and really question, what are your goals? And do you really want to accomplish them? Because then you have to confront it and just start breaking it down into smaller steps.
And your timeline also, becomes more,
Yeah.
and you get so much better about figuring out how much time stuff actually takes. I was lying to myself about how much time I spend in my car, like you, taking kids around. But when I do a time audit, I see that I'm actually spending a lot of time in the car, and I can't do other things while I'm driving. And so, it allows me to get better at figuring out how much time it takes to answer phone calls, return emails, all of that kind of stuff.
I just want to say I agree with everything you're saying. And I'm going to try your calendar thing, or I'm going to try to break down my to-do list a little bit more.
Sure.
And push them forward. But I think that technology has made all of this so much easier now, because like even just like the note taking in a meeting, it helps jog your memory on what was said. Then you can use AI to like who's doing what. And I don't know. I just love it. Like, it's great to be living in this time. Well, in some parts of this time.
Yeah. And
some parts of it.
There's probably some AI bot that you can train to like put your to-do list on your calendar anyway and learn priorities. I don't know. I don't know if it doesn't exist, Ruby, we should create it, but
yeah, that sounds good. Don't listen to what we're saying. We have to go invent it first. That's actually yeah, we should go like calendar ninjas type of stuff.
yeah, that's right.
Well, Bryn, it's been great having you. Is there any other tip before we go into the rapid fire questions on fun facts? Is there any other tip that we didn't cover yet that you want to share?
I guess I would say a couple of things. I know this, probably people are skeptical about this, and I would just say try extreme calendaring for 1 week. Just do a time audit, really write down on your calendar everything that you are doing or have done or plan to do for 1 week, and see if you sleep better. Because I bet that you will sleep better. And I think if you do this long enough, you will find pain points in your day and you'll be able to brainstorm how to fix those. So that's been the best thing for me is, I know that I need a lunch break, so I make sure that I take a lunch break. I make sure that I have time for, a puppy break in the middle of my day for 10 minutes so that I feel better, and can get through the other few hours of the day. So I think it really has allowed me to have more control over the autonomy that I do have as a managing attorney here to figure out how I want my day to look. So try it for 1 week.
Okay, extreme calendaring. Okay, the challenge. Challenge accepted. Well, so moving, I appreciate all the advice and just, giving some new ideas, reaffirming some things I've heard and learned and wrote about. But I think what I've noticed is that even though you've heard about it, and even though you know about it, and even though someone told you about it, unless you're putting it in practice, it's just like just sitting there on the table. So like, if hopefully something we've talked about today, go put a few of these things in practice, because
don't put it on the to-do list. Put it on your calendar.
Okay. Well, this is a selfish question because I really like to search out for new games. But what is your favorite board game or card game that you would recommend, or just one that you really like?
Oh my goodness. My family is obsessed with this very chaotic card game called Fruit Basket.
Interesting.
It's chaotic. You should Google it, but it's one of these complicated card games where every round the rules change and they're
Oh my
different.
gosh. I'm an immigration attorney. I don't need that. I already live that.
You do. You may not like this game, but we find it so fun. Everyone in my family is obsessed with it. When we're together, we stay up till 4 a.m. playing Fruit Basket.
Really?
Mhm.
Okay. It's called Fruit Basket?
Fruit Basket, and it's a just like a you just need a deck of
Okay.
cards.
No way. All right, I'm gonna
Yeah.
check this out. I
Okay.
love that. It sort of reminds me of a version of Uno. I forgot which version of Uno, where like this one card makes you have to move all your deck of cards to one direction, and then you're just like, what the hell just happened? Yeah,
Yes,
I forgot.
it's a game like that where the points you're trying to have 0 points, and every round the rules change, but also you get more points as the game goes on. So you could be at 0 points, and in the last round you still lose because of the point system. It's chaos and it's complicated, but it's really fun.
Okay. What would you consider your superpower?
Besides calendaring, I guess.
Besides-
Um, Probably packing a car. I am very skilled at getting all of our luggage
It's like
like a
Tetris, right? Like
Tetris game
so
in the
much
car.
fun. Yeah.
That's a skill my spouse does not have, and I learned it from my father, who is a notoriously good car packer, and it's my superpower.
You know what? I've never heard that listed as a superpower on this podcast, but I appreciate you. I appreciate that. I feel like that is an underrepresented talent. And you should see my car right now because I'm about to take a whole bunch of stuff to San Antonio so that it can be taken to Mexico. And it looks like I live in my car because I literally put like a bunk bed, a twin bed, and like a topper and a whole bunch of stuff. And like if it's not, it's insane. But I love my Toyota Highlander because I can squish a lot of stuff in there.
Well,
So.
you must be a good packer too, then. That must be a skill that you have to get all that in there.
Well, I appreciate one who acknowledges that that's a skill. Like, yeah, I likewise, my husband's not so good at it. No offense. Hopefully he's not listening to this, but you at least need one person in the family who's good at it. And then you need to pass it on to your children because it's a skill that somebody has to have.
That's right.
Um, what would you consider a habit that contributes to your success? And I think you're going to say it's the extreme calendaring, but
It's too on the nose, so I'm not going to say that.
okay, give me another one then.
Okay, I think really leaning into being an educator, teaching clients and teaching other lawyers in a way that makes it easy to understand leads me to lots of new and returning clients. I feel like it's a habit that I have worked on, and I think it's really helped me have a successful career.
Oh, that's awesome. You're right. I think when we signed up to be lawyers, we didn't realize how much education and educating the public or our clients or staff was going to be a part of our profession. But the whole like making the complex simple is a whole nother line a skill that we have to learn as well to be successful. What would you say is a book or a podcast you would recommend to our listeners?
Oh, okay. I have to recommend Kelly Nolan has a great podcast and a Substack called The Bright Method. So she is an
Okay.
extreme calendar person. So she teaches classes about this. I have not taken her paid classes, but I think her podcast is really interesting. But the thing that's more interesting to me is her Substack, which I think is also called The Bright Method. But it's so interesting
Okay.
because she profiles women in all different industries and at different points in their careers, and it's her Substack is just like how they structure their day. So from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed, they essentially let you in on everything that they do and the motivation behind it. And I have gotten so many tips and tricks about how to make my life better and more enjoyable and more productive from that Substack. So highly recommend.
Oh my gosh, I'm on the website right now. I'm checking it out. That's awesome because we don't normally share all this stuff, and there's a lot of little nitty gritty, and then you're just like, is this worth sharing? Is somebody want to, we're going to talk about this in public, like sometimes I think like if I was on a reality TV show, I don't think they could keep up with me because like they'd be like, yeah.
Right.
They would probably have to have a big crew or something to take turns.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So her Substack feels like a peek behind the curtain, It's like how does Ruby actually get done everything that she gets done in her life? And it's a great read.
Okay, all right, I'm checking it out. So how can people stay in touch with you, get to know you better, connect with you, find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Bryn Poland. You can email me. My email address is Poland, like the country, POLAND at mayopoland.com. I'd love to chat with you about elder law or special needs planning or calendaring. If you've got a great calendar tip, I would love to hear it.
Well, I really appreciate this discussion, and I feel like I need to take my time management calendaring to another level. So I'm going to take some of the tips you shared today and implement them and check out this podcast Substack you mentioned as well. And I really appreciate the time we shared. Also, that game, I have to go check that out too. The fruit
Yeah. Fruit
basket
yeah.
card games, so I can see if my family goes wild like yours. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. It was great. I know that I learned a lot, so I'm sure you did too. And join us next time on the next episode of Power Up Your Practice. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to Power Up Your Practice. I'm Ruby Powers, and it's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. We love your reviews. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us one and share this podcast with someone else so that they can know what you've been learning on our show. And make sure to check out the Power Up Your Practice book. It's available in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. It's packed with 25 chapters of strategies to grow and streamline your firm. And we also have the free Power Hub community on School to keep the conversation going in between the episodes. So make sure to keep powering up your practice, and we'll see you next time.